Hi everyone. So today is Monday 5/17, and this asynchronous work is about bridge types. So remember last week we did some more engineering basics and then we took that quiz in a shocking turn of events. I've already graded that, so if you want to check your grade, it's in PowerSchool. And if you want to do quiz revisions, just send me an email and we can figure something out. So this week we are talking about bridges and forces. So some of those forces that we talked about last week, we're going to talk about how they interact with bridges and how engineers of bridges think about those forces when they're designing bridges. And then at the end of the week, we are going to begin the bridge project. All right, so the first vocabulary today is a beam bridge. So we're going to go over the four main types of bridges today and talk about some advantages and disadvantages. So a beam bridge is just a horizontal beam supported at each end. So this is kind of the most basic type of bridge. It's usually the least expensive to construct because it just doesn't take many materials, but it's not super strong. So you would never put this over a really long span because it's tough to make it as strong as some of the other options. So again, a beam bridge is just this flat part, usually supported on the ends. Sometimes there's some supports through the middle that can help make these bridges longer. Next type of bridge is the arch bridge. These are really easy to recognize because they're just like an upside down U shape. So anytime you see a rounded bridge like this, you know that's an arch bridge. These are also pretty inexpensive to make because they don't have any, they usually don't have like a top part here, so they're just the materials used underneath, but they do use more materials than a beam bridge. They can be a bit longer than a beam bridge, though still not very long. The way that this, the arch bridge works is that if a force is coming down, like let's imagine a car is across this. If a car is right here, then the pressure is going downwards and kind of extends out to these edges. And we'll talk a little bit more about that next class too. All right, next type is a suspension bridge. This is a bridge that has towers with cables that extend down to support the bridge. So a really famous suspension bridge is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, which you've probably seen pictures of, or maybe some of you have been there. So most bridges with cables we're going to call suspension bridges. And a key thing is that they always have some towers. There might be just two, there might be more than two, but they have these towers because that's where the cables connect to. And again, we'll talk next class about how these bridges actually work to support various forces as cars or people are using them. Suspension bridges are pretty expensive to make. They take a lot of materials, but they can be really, really long because of the way that the forces are distributed throughout the bridge. So these are pretty good for long distances. Okay, this is not a type of bridge, but I wanted to go over this word because you probably haven't heard it before. So a truss is a group of triangles used to support a structure. We're going to talk more about this next class, but triangles are a really strong shape to use in engineering because of the way that they distribute forces. So a truss is just a group of triangles used in supporting a structure. And then we have a truss bridge, which is a beam bridge basically, but it has the extra support of trusses. So you can see here we have the basic beam on the bottom, just like the original bridge we talked about, just a long flat surface. And then all of these little triangle parts are trusses. So these diagonal shapes are helping keep this bridge supported. You can see there's some more trusses here and then also on the top. Okay, so these are pretty easy to recognize when just by looking for this triangular shapes. And these are more expensive to make than a beam bridge, but can span a longer distance and are just generally stronger than a beam bridge because of the trusses that are added. Okay, what type of bridge is this? Hopefully you know that this is a beam bridge, pretty straightforward. What type of bridge is this one? This is suspension. This is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. You can see it's really, really long. What type of bridge is this one? This is an arch. You can recognize that just by the arched shape. Arches are also one of the oldest bridges because they used to be made just fully of stone. So sometimes you won't see like gaps in it like this. You'll just see a solid arch, but both of those count as arch bridges. And then you already saw this picture. What type of bridge is this? This is a truss bridge. Okay, last thing to think about, I want you to think about what type of bridge is best. And hopefully you'll consider that there are you might want to use different types depending on what the situation is. So as we head into our bridge project, you're going to be asked to make a bridge of a certain length. That's going to be a certain amount of distance off the ground. So there are certain bridges that are going to be better for this than other bridges. And you just have to consider what works best for the given situation. Otherwise, we would just have one type of bridge everywhere. All right, so make sure you finish filling out the form that is attached to this assignment, and I'll see you in class.